Welcome to this ASMR edition of Tales from Outer Space, where we like to take stories from space from around the internet and read it aloud for your entertainment. Psych, that's not happening. We're doing this with energy. With energy, I'm telling you. Subscribe, damn it, and all that other YouTube stuff. All the links will be down below as per usual. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 channel members and patrons. Bob the Dragon, Datamagnet, Sergeant Puma, Cat Crab Lobster, and Duck Machine. Thank you very much for the support. It is much appreciated. Mirror Matter, written by maddeninglemon. In the mid-20th century, scientists discovered a seemingly meaningless quirk of the universe. In very particular circumstances, particles act different than they would if everything was perfectly mirrored. This is called parity breaking, and followed the trend of the subatomic universe breaking every rule we tried to apply to it. It was strange to the scientists who studied such things, but given all other emerging strangeness with both quantum mechanics and general relativity, it attracted little public attention. It was in the 1990s that a number of Australian scientists wrote a paper on the possible solution to this problem. They posted that every particle had a mirror version, with all physical properties identical, but with a so-called mirror image reversal. Much like antimatter doubled the number of standard particles, mirror matter did the same. But whereas antimatter reacts explosively with normal matter, mirror matter was theorized to not interact at all, except by gravity. The theory was able to restore parity symmetry, but was also largely discounted at the time for its complicated nature and a large number of theoretical particles. In the mid-21st century, however, further details emerged about the mysterious dark matter that existed everywhere in the universe. More and more details fit those described by mirror matter, and the theory started to come into its own with support amongst the orthodoxy of physics. It wasn't until 2067, however, that we were sure. A small probe en route to Jupiter in 2065 was discovered one day to have deviated suddenly from its predicted orbit, almost as if it had passed a small asteroid within a few kilometers. The problem, of course, was that no such asteroid could be found along its route. Even with our best tracking systems, it was an expensive deviation, costing NASA the entire mission and billions of dollars. And so, multitudes of scientists studied the region to find the missing chunk of rock, estimated to be a few kilometers across. A number of small deviations of nearby objects allowed a gradual narrowing in its orbital parameters, though nothing was seen on any of our telescopes, leading most to assume that it was either much darker or much denser than a normal asteroid had any right to be. 2 years later, on July 8, 2067, a small ion-powered probe arrived near the suspected location of the unknown object and noticed a small but measurable deviation of its course. Over the following 4 months, it moved towards this gravitational anomaly, with the net force growing stronger and stronger, until finally it was captured and entered an orbit of the object. Much to the surprise of the JAXA team who had launched the probe, there was nothing there. The satellite appeared to be orbiting around nothing, and when lowered, it was even able to pass right through the anomaly's edge unharmed. Suddenly, we had undeniable proof of mirror matter floating right within our own solar system, giving tantalizing hints about the true nature of dark matter. This was, of course, incredible news. Daily talk shows brought on scientists to talk about this invisible planet. Much speculation was made, and it became a common talking point amongst science enthusiasts and spiritualists alike. But like most things which had little to do with our daily lives, it faded into the growing list of strange but true facts about the universe that just don't really matter to normal people. 5 years after its initial discovery, a probe was dispatched to the asteroid with an instrument which was predicted to be able to interact with mirror matter. It used the same parity-breaking mechanism that had first been shown over 100 years before, and though it had not been shown conclusively to work back on Earth due to a lack of confined mirror matter for testing, NASA was certain enough with the design to risk sending it on a launch.
The arrival of the probe was with little fanfare outside the select community. It was considered little more than a routine exploration mission, though perhaps with the potential to be more once details emerged. And so, on February 15th, 2073, the instrument was activated just above the Mirror Matter asteroid, and scientists waited for the 13-minute light-speed delay for the results to return to Earth. Interestingly, it was not the scientists in the lab who first observed the results of their experiment. No, the results were much clearer to the millions of people in Asia who were awake that night and happened to be looking up into the sky. Within a moment, the sky went from dark to light, with stars visible to those even in the middle of cities. For those away from light pollution, the effects were even more vivid. The Milky Way galaxy was visible in all its splendor, and 1 or 2 new stars in the sky appeared nearly as bright as the moon. The next day, every physicist on Earth found themselves in talk shows, news, or radio trying to explain the sudden change that they themselves couldn't even begin to fathom. Many religious leaders took the sudden change as a sign of the end times, with riots occurring in major cities around the globe. It took weeks to get a clear picture of just what exactly had happened. It turned out that we had triggered what could only be considered the mother of all phase changes in our universe with the seemingly innocent scientific instrument. What we had failed to predict in our rush to probe the mysteries of the cosmos was that mirror matter was in fact able to tunnel into normal matter under the right, exceedingly rare circumstances. That asteroid had sufficient density to start a chain reaction of transformation, shifting mirror protons into protons, mirror electrons into electrons, and, most visibly to us, mirror photons into photons. Suddenly, the previous invisible light that had been traveling unencumbered through our solar system was shifted into a form that we could perceive. It turned out that Alpha Centauri was not the closest star to Earth. It was in fact surpassed by 3 others, only they had long been invisible. We can now see everything in the universe. And since dark matter had outnumbered normal matter 5 to 1, there was suddenly 6 times the number of stars in every direction. And so, we had permanently changed our neck of the woods. Numerous near-Earth asteroids appeared overnight, and Jupiter even gained a small icy moon in its periphery. A large gas giant appeared far beyond Pluto's orbit, explaining many of the gravitational anomalies that we had been theorizing about for centuries. The most amazing discovery, however, was life. SETI held a press conference days after the event where they shocked the world by announcing the detection of multiple indisputable signs of life from every direction. They were even able to show images of aliens based on recreations of digital signals of what was almost certainly a video feed. There were dozens of different types already identified, and the most fascinating was that in some images, multiple different types of aliens were seen together. Apparently, there existed a galactic community just outside our perception, with unimaginable technology and trillions of intelligent life forms. And yet, in that small NASA lab which had been studying the original asteroid, a few scientists began to come to a very different picture. It hadn't been noticed immediately, but there was something strange about the asteroid. It was actually slightly colder than one would expect for an asteroid that far from the sun. And so, the scientists were looking for where that energy might have gone. That is, until one realized that it couldn't have felt the heat of our sun, and so really should be near absolute zero, not a balmy negative 60 degrees Celsius that they found it at. Suddenly, the missing energy turned into an excess. And so it was for every mirror matter object in our neighborhood, close to the sun or far away. They were all about negative 60 degrees. Somehow, the transformation from mirror matter to normal matter raised the temperature by about 200 degrees Celsius in an instant. The team quickly realized that this released energy explained why tunneling had been self-sustaining, releasing energy as the mirror particles collapsed into a more stable normal matter. This, in many ways, resembled the false vacuum theories of decades past. Although, in this case, we were the true vacuum, with other matter tunneling into our world. And as mirror matter collapsed and spread out from asteroid at the speed of light, the scientists in the lab heard the announcement about alien life, and they sat in stunned horror. Any alien in the collapsed path would have been boiled alive in an instant, with nothing able to shield them from the blast, and no signal able to warn them of its approach. As the truth became clear, humanity tried its best to understand what we had done. The nearest mirror star was only 1 light year away, and when it suddenly went silent 2 years after the incident, we knew the galaxy's fate was sealed. Over the following decades, we watched as one by one the systems around us went silent, never able to send them a warning or even an apology. Humanity had suddenly found itself in the galactic community that it would never be a part of. All that was left for us to do was collect every bit of information we could, and swear to remember them long after they had burned away. As for me, I'm reaching the end of my life, so I can only hope that by the time humanity reaches those now dead star systems, we will find the clues we need to piece their species back together, using technology they inadvertently gifted to us in their destruction. It's perhaps the only redemption that we have available to us. End of story.
And that, my friends, concludes this dose of science fiction fun. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, please don't forget to support the author from the link down below. But if you want to support this channel, there are links as well down below for you to help with. But the easiest way would be to share this video. And if you are so inclined, subscribe as well. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope that you all have a fantastic time until then. Cheers.